Hi, welcome to today's deep dive summary of Ultra Learning by Scott Young, Part 4. As Ultra Learning unfolds beyond its initial intensity, Scott Young places growing importance on long-term integration of learning into one's identity and life. A truly successful Ultra Learning project doesn't merely deliver a temporary skill boost or a short-term accomplishment. It becomes part of how the learner views themselves. Identity-based learning creates a deeper emotional investment, a feedback loop where progress strengthens self-belief and self-concept reinforces motivation. When someone starts seeing themselves not just as someone who can learn programming but as a programmer, or not merely someone who is learning Mandarin but as a multilingual communicator, the mental shift significantly elevates the stakes and intensity of learning. This identity shift fuels consistency and resilience in ways that external incentives rarely match. Young suggests that learners who want to sustain momentum should look for ways to weave their new skills into their daily routines, future goals, and even social networks. This integrative approach aligns with how ultra learning can serve as a career advantage. In industries that are constantly evolving, from tech to finance to healthcare, the ability to teach oneself new systems, frameworks, and tools rapidly is more than a competitive edge. It's increasingly a survival skill. Young elaborates on how ultra-learning applies to career reinvention, especially when formal educational pathways are too slow, expensive, or generic to meet specific goals. Professionals can build personalized learning programs that respond to market demands quickly. For example, someone stuck in a stagnant role may use ultra-learning to break into a new domain, learning UX design, cybersecurity, or data analytics, without waiting for a degree or certificate. By selecting targeted learning outcomes, pursuing them aggressively, and showcasing the results through portfolios or side projects, ultra-learners can prove competence to potential employers more effectively than many resume credentials do. The emphasis is not just on learning for learning's sake, but on performance and utility in real-world contexts. The intersection of ultra-learning and entrepreneurship is especially potent. Entrepreneurs constantly face problems that require acquiring new knowledge under pressure. Whether it's learning how to run ads, understanding financial statements, or mastering new technologies. Young portrays the entrepreneur as the ultimate ultra-learner, someone who learns what they need when they need it, guided by stakes that are often existential for their business. Instead of following a linear syllabus, entrepreneurs practice dynamic, need-driven learning. This model doesn't just apply to traditional business founders. It includes freelancers, creators, and side hustlers who must rapidly upskill to stay relevant. For them, ultra-learning offers a structured way to convert uncertainty into opportunity. The flexibility and autonomy of the ultra-learning model are a perfect match for the chaotic demands of independent ventures. Despite ultra-learning's emphasis on independence, Young is careful not to suggest that collaboration is unnecessary. On the contrary, he makes it clear that mentors, peers, and learning communities can accelerate the process dramatically. The role of feedback, as previously discussed, often depends on interaction with others. Teachers, coaches, editors, or peers who can give honest, specific insight into what's working and what's not. Beyond formal feedback, collaborative learning opens up different ways of seeing the same problem. When learners work together, whether through pair programming, peer review, language exchanges, or study groups, they expose themselves to alternative methods, heuristics, and mental models. This social dimension not only enriches understanding but also keeps motivation high, especially during long or difficult projects. For those who are naturally introverted or solitary, Young suggests building structured points of contact into the learning plan to get the benefits of collaboration without being overwhelmed. At the same time, Young is candid about the many myths surrounding ultra-learning and learning in general. One of the most pervasive is the idea that some people are just naturally smart or gifted, and that success in learning is largely about innate talent. Ultra-learning challenges this myth head-on. Young presents repeated evidence that disciplined, strategic, and sustained effort can often produce better results than raw aptitude. This isn't to deny that some people have advantages, better memory, faster processing, more prior experience, but rather to assert that these advantages matter far less than people think when a learner fully commits to the process. The democratizing message of ultralearning is that anyone can become exceptional in a chosen field if they're willing to do the hard, focused work that others avoid. This reclaims learning from elitism and places it back in the hands of anyone with a strong will and a solid plan. Another common misconception Young addresses is the over-reliance on passive learning methods. Most people grow up in school systems that reward passive absorption, listening to lectures, reading textbooks, highlighting notes. While these methods may provide a foundation, they often fail to produce deep understanding or lasting retention. Ultralearning replaces passive habits with active techniques that demand mental effort. Self-testing, elaboration, teaching others, and problem-solving take center stage. These techniques are not just more effective, they're more efficient. In one example, Young compares someone who passively rereads a chapter 10 times to someone who tries to recall and explain the material without looking. The latter learner often performs better, remembers longer, and reaches understanding faster. Ultralearners don't spend more time studying than average learners. They just use that time radically differently. The book also explores the emotional side of ultralearning. Young devotes time to discussing what it feels like to hit the middle stage of a project, after the excitement of beginning but before the visible rewards kick in. This is often where most learners quit. The early stage is fueled by novelty, and the final stage is driven by momentum, but the middle stage requires discipline, patience, and sometimes grit. Young likens it to running a marathon where the landscape doesn't change for hours. To get through this, ultralearners develop psychological tools like chunking progress into short sprints, celebrating micro-achievements, and revisiting their why statements to stay connected to their original motivation. They also monitor their energy levels, track progress visibly, and sometimes change modalities to rekindle interest. What matters is not just persisting, but persisting intelligently, keeping the mind stimulated while maintaining alignment with the end goal. One particularly valuable insight Young offers is that ultralearning projects don't always have to be massive or months long to be worthwhile. He introduces the concept of ultralearning sprints, short, intensive bursts of effort that deliver a meaningful skill improvement in a matter of weeks or even days. A person could spend one weekend learning the basics of Figma, a month building a personal website with React, or 30 days improving their public speaking by recording daily videos. These sprints are useful for exploring new interests, testing viability before full commitment, or rapidly addressing a skill gap. They provide structure, stakes, and a time frame, which can dramatically increase the focus and effectiveness of the effort. They also lower the barrier to entry. Someone can experiment with ultralearning without quitting their job or overhauling their entire schedule. While Young makes a compelling case for ultralearning as a productivity tool, he also touches on its deeper philosophical value. He suggests that becoming an ultralearner is not just about achieving goals faster, it's about cultivating a rich, engaged life. The process of learning deeply and independently brings a sense of empowerment and meaning that few other activities can match. It builds a kind of self-trust that extends beyond any single project. The person who has taught themselves an entire computer science curriculum, a new musical instrument, or a foreign language gains more than knowledge. They gain proof that they can transform themselves. That sense of agency is perhaps the most enduring gift of ultralearning. Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned for next upcoming part of this book.